say, now it's time to get started. Greetings. My name is Mike Blinder. I am publisher of E&P Magazine. We are, those that don't know us, we are, Wikipedia calls us the Bible of the news publishing industry. That may be yet to be seen. But more importantly, we're here to help C-suite executives in the news publishing industry grow, learn, prosper, and more importantly, find a sustainable business model in this wacky world of news media. We're also one of the few independent voices that do that. We publish still proudly a print magazine, but most of our audience is digital, as you are. And one of the things we do is we love to highlight what we consider best of breed marketing partners. We call them supporters. And before I get into the context of this webinar, I want to tell you a story. I was brought up with a grandfather who said to me once, and this is in Brooklyn, New York, he said, when someone calls you a jackass, ignore it. But when two people call you a jackass, buy yourself a saddle. But over the last month, I'm not saying he would call me a jackass. I've gotten these signals. It started with an amazing woman that I'm honored to have on our show today. First of all, welcome, Jesse. How are you? Jesse Shy.
Yep. Yeah. Hi, Mike. I'm good, and thank you for bringing me in.
You came to us obliquely through our editorial department. You submitted an op-ed to my wife, Robin, who is the publisher of E&P Magazine. No, I'm the publisher. She's the editor-in-chief, excuse me. And you got it published in April. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you submitted it to other trade pubs in the news media industry as well, and we published it for you. Am I correct?
Yes.
The other side, you passed muster because we get a lot of op-eds we publish, but my wife was so impressed, she even gave you print, and you made it into the April print magazine. Not that, I mean, we love that print product, but as you guys know in the publishing industry, it's expensive. But basically, you told a story to an industry that we may have to start rethinking our paywall process. So there's the first thing that hit me, like, like my grandfather said. Then INMA comes out with a report about paywalls. Another hit that hit me was Gordon Borrell's latest data, which we're all going to break down in a moment, about the impact of paywalls may be having on digital growth of advertising. But then here's the final one. A gentleman by the name of Wade Bradley, CEO and founder of a company called Make It Free, accosted me in the back of a room at the, am I right, Wade? You kind of nailed me at the mega conference in Orlando. And you had excuse me?
We're persistent.
and I had heard of your product because you had already were featured on the local media association, America's Newspapers did a piece on you. You came to the mega with your top executives, and I was in the back of a room of a breakout session, and you immediately handed me your business card and let's talk. And we met later, but I went to my hotel room and in between breaks, and I looked up your product and I found it fascinating. So all this brought us to today. And this is going to be an amazing session. I want everyone to stick around. And for the first time, we're blending that wall between editorial and marketing. Maybe very clear to our audience now. This is a paid sponsored webinar. Wade, thank you for supporting our mission at E&P. We take our supporters very, very, very seriously. Moreover, Wade, not everyone gets to do a webinar. We get these sell out, as you know. The dates are very tight, and we're very selective of who we will, allow come in and have an interview with me. So, Wade, I'm going to ask you for a favor. If you'll stick in the background, I'm going to talk to Jesse first from our editorial side about a very hot topic today: paywalls and their impact. More importantly, I'd like my audience to look at the chat room. I've actually programmed it so you can now chat to anybody. It's not just to the panelists, to the group. And I urge you, when you ask a question, make a comment, yell at us, do it in chat today, but also include it to the entire audience, because maybe a separate dialogue will go on below us, and I'll do my darndest to look in that chat room for you. So here we go. We're going to start off with Jesse, if I may. And Jesse, this is going to be interesting. I'm going to first, with your permission, let's get into the meat of what you said in your op-ed.
Yeah.
Go ahead, break it down for me. What motivated you to write this? What were you trying to say to the industry?
Yeah, I mean, actually, on the election night, like, when I checked out like several news outlets, like I think, around like six out of like uh eight publications, like I checked like they either had a paywall or like the registration wall. So I feel like, that could like cause audience like frustration, at a very critical time. And also it was like not the first time like I saw a similar issue. I remember like shortly after COVID broke out, like I also like struggle, to find free public health information like on several other like newspapers websites. So I mean even like the Express News like I worked for back then, like they had a hard paywall, like even a lot of like critical public health information was like behind the paywall. And obviously it like readers were frustrated. Like I started like to get like direct messages like on our social account. They were like, why are you like paywalling like critical public health information? So I brought it up like to my former manager. I was like, I understand like we are like prioritizing reader revenue. I think a hard paywall is the right strategy, but like, can we have like some flexibility? Can we at least like get some critical public health information story out of the paywall? And actually, she brought it up like to top management, like to the publisher. So we actually decided like to put one COVID timeline story out of the paywall, that capture, latest COVID cases, like policy changes and so on. So just like by like lifting that timeline story out of the paywall, that story actually, converted like around 600 subscriptions like at the end of 2020. So that data just like outperform any other story like on our website. So yeah, I mean, I just think, I just don't think like paywalls, like reader revenue and civic mission, to serve
They're
the
kind of
public has to be have to be exclusive to each
going
other.
back to 50,000 feet. What you're saying is that what you just said is it's just opposed. If we're supposed to have this Madisonian mission in our ever so fragile democracy to be that final check on power and to be that source for local truth, and we start putting it behind hard paywalls without an option to see this information, something ain't working. And your background is not small on this. You're an industry researcher. You're a graduate of NYU's Arthur L. Carter Journalism Institute. You've done court. I mean, you actually are a media junkie, and you were frustrated, so you came out at media. But I also want to get your opinion. I mean, here's the suggestions you kind of boiled down to our audience, and I hope you don't mind me quoting you.
Yeah.
Leave the website free for a few days. Okay, maybe that works or doesn't work, but that might frustrate some of the people saying we need this revenue. If they're dying to see this content, we got to get this rev. We'll talk about the revenue in a moment. Keep critical public information free. All right, we did some media outlets did that during COVID. I can't say everybody did that during the election. Uh, Communicate editorial decisions clearly when lifting paywalls for public. Well, that makes no. But here's the one that's going to lead us, I think, into Wade. Experiment with a smart, dynamic paywall model. That. Okay, let me go back. I'm sorry. That allows us to have a different experience. And Wade, I know you're chomping at the bit to jump in on this, but Wade, you have a solution that has that lost audience coming back. Am I correct? Which we'll get to.
Yes, we do.
Right. Now, Jesse, I want to get your other opinions as a researcher. I shared with you the INMA report. This came out, remember, that hit me. I'm going, what's going on? Which, again, was not saying shut your paywalls down, but in short, what did you think of this report from the INMA? I wanted to get the author in. By the way, I spoke with Greg, amazing guy, but the INMA is having their great timing, Wade. They're having their World Congress as we speak in New York City. I think he's on a stage right now discussing this. So again, Jesse, not because we couldn't get grade, what do you think of the INMA study? What does it say to you, and in your opinion, the research and the industry itself?
Yeah, yeah, sure. I mean, I'm not too surprised because like readers today, like they have like easier access like to more information. So I mean, we went like from like newspapers like being like one of their very few options like decades ago, like to now it's like they have like many options, like especially online. So yeah, I mean, not everyone will be willing like to pay for the content. And actually, that report kind of like reminded me of like a American Press Institute study a few years ago, but I think it still makes a lot of sense. So it just like breaks um, audience into like different subgroups. Like the first group, like civically engaged, like they support like missions, like initiatives like that reflect their personal values. Like they are committed to like higher than average number of subscriptions. So
Well, this is a big deal because
yeah.
I mean, what it's saying, and I'm sure it's being debated in New York as we speak, 57% just go away. Now, Wade, you have some data you're going to be sharing with us in a moment because your company has definitely done its homework. But 21% only look at the free content, 12% try other articles, then get frustrated, 11% try to evade the paywall. I'm showing this on a screen if you guys are multitasking, watching this and checking email. And we will share this with you if when we send the link to all registrants of the recordings. So basically, what you've got here is another. It's something that's saying, okay, we understand the need for reader revenue in a very, very, very tough sustainability environment, but the paywall is pissing off audience. Am I saying that correct, Jesse? It's
Yeah.
just, I mean, they're just not happy. All right, so now, and I also shared with you, again, this hit me, Gordon Burrell. He is now for the first time, because Gordon, Gordon likes making money. Those of you who don't know Burrell, Burrell Associates is the leading researcher on advertising trends in the news media industry. Their conference moved this year to the Cronkite School of Journalism in Arizona because he's so into content now. He's claiming we're at the tipping point now of oblivion. If you don't have local content, you're screwed. But again, Wade, I'm about to bring you in and I'm going to chat with Jesse first. What good is content when it's like a billboard in your basement and no one's reading? So Gordon put out is for the first time is giving away a study. You can't get it unless you attend his webinar later this month. I'll provide a link in the page. We will email all subscribers. But in it, he says newspapers have had zero digital growth in 5 years as far as the percentage of revenue. Zero. Where other legacy media, let me say that again, other legacy media has been growing. So if newspapers, which is the only legacy media I know of, and I want everyone in this room to stop thinking of the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal and all their major successes in subscription revenue. Yes, New York Times, 50% of their digital revenue is subscription revenue. We all get that. But you're not the New York Times, if you follow. You're a hyper-local news outlet in a market, sincerely trying to impact your community. But again, and so when I posed Gordon, he was on my show, my regular vodcast show. And I said, Gordon, could this be a reason? Well, that's now resonating. Even Todd Handy, Wade, one of the top media, like it says, gurus in the industry, posted today on LinkedIn quoting that interview. So again, like my grandfather, everything's hitting me. So what did you think of this, Jesse? Again, did this give you a little bit more fodder? Because you're not an advertising person, I know that. You are a media research trender. You're a social media expert who's worked for some of the top media companies in the world. What did you think of that when I shared that report with you?
I mean, again, like I'm not too surprised. Like I think, newspapers are like still treating readers like, like homogeneous group. Like they are either like paying to access everything or like not paying, and like accessing like almost nothing. But like the takeaways like from the American Press Institute study I mentioned before, like not everyone is like in the civically committed group. Like there's another like group like of audiences, like they are like thrifty like trans actors, like they are very picky about like what they choose to subscribe. Like they might be interested like in some niche topics, for example, like and I just don't think a lot of like newspapers like do a good job like monetizing those audiences, like the so-called like thrifty transactors. I mean, an example is like the Miami Herald, like they have a sports only pass, like when their first launched it, like they charge like $30 a year, like compare with like $130 a year like for the full subscription. And also, I mean, that sports only paywall like slash pass actually did very well, like about 80% of like the sports pass subscribers like are outside of like the South Florida. So that was like a very unique opportunity to like get subscribers like outside the local market. I mean, I know like it's $30 like per year like per user, but like for that thrifty transactors group, but it's better than nothing. So I would say at
But
least
okay,
like
so let's
offer options.
you said the words. Thank you, Vanna, for turning that letter because we're about to make the transition. It's better than nothing. But here's if those of you that are looking at your screen and not multitasking, I asked Gordon, do you have any data on the average percentage of revenue digital subscriptions, digital subs accounts for? And he's got 19%. Keep in mind, Wade, we're about to swing it to you. That 19% does include the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times. I mean, which have huge digital subscription revenue. Then the only public company, because remember, so many companies now are private, especially with Alden Capital taking over Tribune, so I can't get any data. And of the few public companies that do give the number, the only one I could find was Gannett. Gannett last year, this is it. 7.4% of total revenue came from digital subscriptions. How many markets has Gannett locked down their content without an alternative to giving some of those, whatever name you want to call them, frustrated, uh, uh, they're thrifty, whatever, these people who will not pay for content, which, by the way, a lot of that is young, unless you disagree with me. I mean, what are you going to do? Ah, here comes Wade. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank Jesse Scheid. Jesse, you're welcome to stay for the webinar. But because you represent our editorial team and Wade is one of our marketing supporters, I'm trying to put a little like break here. So please feel free to stick around. But I'd like to turn it over to Wade now. Wade, you have an
Sure.
amazing presentation for us. Am I correct? And you've
Yeah.
asked for a chance to present it. How did I do teeing this up for you, Wade? Did I blow? None of our audience left. It actually grew. So I think I didn't bore him to tears. Are you okay so far with
No,
how?
I think you did phenomenal. And at the end of the day, it's a challenging topic, and it takes a challenging solution. And
And
that's what we believe we provided now.
let me introduce you. Wade, you are CEO of and a founder of a company called Make It Free. You have joined recently America's Newspapers, Local Media Association. You are now entrenched in this industry and dedicated to finding a solution to this conundrum. So I gave you screen share privileges, sir. I'm going to give you the mic. You got the audience. Take it away.
Okay, let me load this up here. So this is an exciting situation, and it's about paywalls. It's not personal. And Make It Free together with publishers. We're going to solve publishing's most pervasive problem. And we enable your publication to now monetize the 90% plus of audience your front end paywall turns away. And paywalls, they do their job. They're a necessary element of digital traffic. They stop your traffic. The challenge is that this tool alone does not generate enough net revenue by itself. We can all agree on these key points. Consumer data sharing habits changed adversely 10 years ago. People stopped sharing their data. The majority of consumers stopped readily registering to get an article. And industry-wide, more than 90% of consumers are turned away at paywalls daily. Most importantly, we also know more and deeper consumer engagement leads to more subscriptions. And as they say, access builds trust. As well, more net revenue leads to a stronger publication. Now, statistics prove the masses have no intention. 90 to 95% of visitors to subscription sites do not register or subscribe. And this is 2024 data. This is real. And it's a measurable consumer impact. For most digital sites, 3% of their traffic have subscribed. Aspirationally, 7% have registered. But 90% hit the paywall, then they exit, and they never give their email. And research has shown 49% of that group say they will never register or subscribe. But what's more daunting in the industry is that 69% of all consumers say that they will stop clicking your link if they recall you have a paywall.
So let me get this straight, not to interrupt you, sir. 70% of a market is not happy. Is that what you're saying right there? And they'll never come back. You've diminished your brand. Is that what you're telling me?
70% stop getting even to the paywall.
Okay.
And when the people that do get to the paywall, 90% plus of those exit immediately. And we kind of combine it with the 10% are the people that have intention. And that's what a paywall addresses today. And they do so very, very well. But the 90% have no intention. The 49% have no intention. And the 69% have no intention. They don't desire to register. They don't desire to subscribe. So what we realized, publishers must have a two-part paywall solution. Everyone has this. Back end, it deals with the people with intention. These are the people that click on your paywall. They go in to find out about the registration offer, how many free articles they get. They check out the offer for subscription. But 90% exit immediately with no intention. And that's what we address. Having one without the other will not achieve your net revenue goals. And we can all agree traffic is not the same. You've got this great traffic in the back end. They have intention. You have 90% exiting without registration or subscription. These are the no intention folks. And this makes up 100% of your traffic. Now, smart paywalls, they're the best back-end solution. And there are great groups out there. And these groups have made it so that their technology, their features and enhancements take these people that have intention and they convert at a very high rate to becoming a subscriber or a registrant. Make It Free, our plugin that plugs into your paywall, is the best front-end solution. And you can no longer ignore the front-end consumers with no intention. What we enable is positive consumer engagement and net revenue. And for the first time, you can now monetize more than 90% of the audience, generate new net revenue without receiving a registration or a subscription, which is super exciting. It maximizes paywall net revenue generation. You've got this, and that's doing what it's supposed to do exceptionally well. Now you have to have this. With Make It Free, we command the people with no intention. And Make It Free is truly transformative front-end solution. We turn a negative contact into a positive contact. Instead of telling 90% of your potential audience no, get paid to tell them yes. And the publisher market problem is really simple. Consumers want free content without registering. It's as simple as that. Our solution, equally simple. Give it to them.
I love it.
We pay you, the publisher. You pay nothing. It's all net profit. How it works today, you have a happy consumer, they click a link to your article. Unhappy consumer hits a paywall. More than 90% leave unhappy. And there's a loss of revenue as a publisher. With Make It Free, how it works. Happy consumer clicks a link. Happy consumer now sees our button on your front end paywall. Read article free with Make It Free. They click the button. Our modal pops up. It's a quick sign up. First, last name, email, and a password. And they agree transactionally to receive 4 branded emails to gain that article for free. For publishers, this is a happy day. We pay you 10 cents for every single individual article access. But also it increases your potential subscriber engagement. You're creating people that will have intention. We're conditioning them to have intention. And as well, you have so many more articles being accessed by an order of magnitude, we assume, it will increase your internal display ad revenue by an order of magnitude. But most importantly now, you have a happy consumer. You solve their problem. They enjoy the article. They return again and again. We actually give them a reward coin for each email they open that they can then exchange for electronic gift cards. So super exciting for everyone. Now, we don't share emails with anyone. And the reason why, consumers have spoken. It's a learned behavior now. 90% plus refuse to provide an email due to relentless industry marketing. And it's all industries. When you go to buy a jacket, they offer you 15% off up front if you give your email. You wait until you're actually going to buy it, till you've made that decision. The behavioral proof is that 49% say nothing will make them register or subscribe, and 69% will begin avoiding clicking links to websites that use paywalls. What Make It Free does, we positively modify consumer behavior, adoption, and engagement while you're earning net revenue. We're paying you to condition your consumer to have intention. And we do give you an opportunity for delayed email gratification. I know this is important to a lot of people, but asking it up front isn't working. Every quarter, we will send your newsletter or subscription offer for free to the audience using our service on your site. So we do this continuously because we want you to have that deeper level engagement. The difference is you're getting paid to increase the consumer's intention through positive engagement while they're enjoying your perishable content. Now, the KPI data proof, initial 10 months with news publishers, when consumers click our button on the paywall, 32% convert.
Let me get this straight. That's a big number. And you have this verifiable. This is accurate data. So you've launched this and you get 32% of conversion. Yes. That's amazing. Okay, go ahead.
And then what we see is those consumers use it an average of 4.2 times per month. So there's repetition. They like it. They utilize it. Now, the most important publisher insight that we've heard, we are not seeing any adverse effect on subscriber activity. And more importantly, we believe you're going to have the ability to retain budget-based customer churn.
Okay, you call it the budget-based customer. There's so many names now flying around, but
Well,
I
we
get
do that because editorial-based churn is, we can't help that.
right.
If people decide that a paper's gone one way or the other. But when it's budget-based, that consumer, they still, after they cancel their subscription, muscle memory, they keep coming back to that publication. Now you're giving them opportunity to stay with that muscle memory, to continue to come back. And when their budget changes, they're likely to subscribe again because they don't want to be getting 80 or 100 emails a month. So it works very efficiently across the board. And the net profits difference is dramatic using Make It Free. The current outcome per 1 million paywall visitors. So for every million people coming per month, 90% plus hit the paywall, then they exit, they never give their email, it produces zero revenue. With Make It Free, the same million people, 90% plus hit your paywall, you earn net revenue. You still don't get their email, but you earn net revenue, net profits. And based on the numbers we've already seen, it's estimated to be an average $150,000 net profit annually.
For a million paywall visitors that you lose.
Exactly.
All right, that's a big number, but you have to be talking to a big outlet. All right, I get this. Okay, but as a guy who publishes a magazine, and maybe you're going to get to this, I also get someone looking at my content and seeing the ads around it. Isn't that also important? I mean, circling back to Jesse, what you
Yeah, you also get the ad insertion revenue. If more people are able to access your article, the more ad insertion revenue you're going to garner.
my editorial team also gets more eyeballs. So if I'm winning a Pulitzer Prize for content that only impacts 10% of my market, maybe now I get to 20 or 25%, and I'm having more impact on my community. You see where I'm going?
Exactly.
Yes.
And that's the third point.
Right.
Highly coveted consumer engagement.
Right.
You want these consumers are habitual. You want to be their habit. They want you to be their habit. Make It Free enables that to occur. And this is what the modal looks like when they click the button on your paywall.
Is Geico one of your advertisers? Is that a real logo?
We have national advertisers just like Geico, State Farm, et cetera, in the insurance field. You know, national advertisers that want to get in front of that consumer traffic.
Okay.
And it creates a halo effect for them because they're enabling that consumer to enjoy the article. And one of the things that we state on the modal, this brand supports consumers enjoying a free press. Now, when they've already signed up and they come back again, it's even easier. Yes, read article for free. They're done. And what this does is generates new net revenue for each article viewed, no cost outlay, significantly increase your current ad insertion revenues, more articles being accessed, increases positive engagement to gain potential new subscribers. You get more bees with honey. It's really simple. And your newsletter subscription offer delivered free quarterly. But as well, it maximizes social sharing to increase even greater numbers of new potential subscribers. If I know I can read the article using Make It Free, I can flip it to Mike. Mike can read it for free. He'll flip it to other people. This is how you build brand and article engagement. And as well, we provide anonymized consumer data so that you can understand who these people are that are turning away. We want you to have that data. And we also provide the regional and national brands successfully targeting your audience, because that's critical too. You should be going after them for your CPM ad insertion. And we'll let you know if Geico's killing it, going at your audience, we're going to let you know, because you should have Geico as an advertiser. And most importantly, we only increase net revenue to your operations. It takes nothing away. And it's a very easy paywall agnostic integration. Super simple. Takes several weeks to get you up and running. And what we like to say, thank you for everyone attending today, but everybody wins when you make it free. And please reach out to myself or reach out to Kevin, our regional president, and we can get you set up. We can do analysis of your numbers and do anything we can to support you, because that is what we're here to do.
Wait, I first of all, thank you. That was eye-opening, and we're getting near, that last third of our journey. So let me pose some questions and urge our audience, please get into the chat and ask any questions you have. And we're going to try to keep our eyes on that, and I'll bring them up. But I got a number of them. I hope you don't mind. First of all, how well do you police these advertisers? We are very, very credible local news brands. Someone's going to remember that they went to my local brand and suddenly it's not going to be like some of these weird ads I see on Truth Social, right? Where I can get a Russian date. Or I'm sorry, I don't. Have you ever been to Truth? I mean, I got to look. I feel, and you got to see some of those weird ads. I mean, it's like very strange stuff. But I'm asking you, am I going to see that in my inbox? Do you police the people that come to you to get to my audience? Because I know the value of my audience, and I know these advertisers want that news consumer.
We're bringing on top tier national, regional, and local brands. We want it to be a great brand opportunity for that demographic. And at the end of the day, we also supply to publishers a list of all the categories that are potential. And they can click off any category that they don't want to see. If they don't want to see ED, fair enough. We won't surface it. We want the publisher to be able to have that control. That's critical.
All right. I get that. All right. So a publisher can say, nah, I don't want that brand seeing my audience, and you'll just negate it from the play, is what you're saying. Good. What do you say? And I know that question's coming. I mean, I'm waiting for this question to come. How will this cannibalize my subscriptions? I've got a mandate from my boss to increase my subs. If I give him this out, I'm calling it an out. I hope you don't offend it, sir. I mean, if I give him this out, am I cannibalizing my chance to build that incredible, important subscription base? Are you going to reiterate to me that this is lost and this is the only way to get them? Go ahead, sir.
Well, at the end of the day, to gain a subscriber is about engagement. People aren't going to buy a pig in a poke. So more engagement will lead to more subscriptions. That's just the way the world works. And that access not only builds trust, but it builds subscriber volume.
Okay. Matt McMillan. Matt, thanks for posting this. It's good to see. I'm not seeing you, Matt, but it's a good friend of mine at Press Publication says, can you target this option to only people out of town? I don't know if that's available, is it? To have it just be for those that come from away.
Well, we target the offers basis where their demographics and their geographics are. So the people that are local are going to see different advertisements than people that are, out of state, that may travel to your region for holiday or something, or that just simply may, be really interested in a particular unique article that you've done.
But I think he's more interested in, if I know that's a local IP address, can I keep them coming to the hard paywall and only offer this as a solution to those that are visiting my website from elsewhere? Go ahead.
And that's the bonus. You want to have this option on every hard paywall view.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, you don't know what that consumer wants if you're not giving them 3 options. If you're only giving them 2 options, that's the world we live in today. Register or subscribe.
All right, let me ask you this one.
It gets super exciting for the consumer.
All right, what about just building my first party data? Is this going to stop me from getting that critical email address that I desperately need because everybody thinks someday Google's going to shut down, shut down that critical world that we sell programmatically?
This really has the ability to enhance gaining first-party data because 90 to 95%, and I think it's actually about 98.5%, refuse to provide that data. So us giving the delayed email gratification gives you that ability. You can, after they've been using your service, you give them a subscription offer or you give them an offer to get a newsletter. You're changing the process.
Well,
By hitting them up front, it's not working. By giving them what they want up front and then soft selling into it is a much more likely approach that you'll gain that data. But at the end of the day, every single time you deliver an article, you're getting paid.
you can also do what I do. When I had to get a virgin listener, a viewer, there's my radio days, a virgin visitor, if I may use that term, there's a pop-up window that says, please subscribe to our newsletter. And I get great conversions on those. I get, hundreds and hundreds a month because many people hit my site that haven't been there before. So yeah, I think either way you can build it. More traffic, in my humble opinion, if you come to my site, means more, data for me. How many articles will the consumer get for free? Again, you said 4, correct? They're going to
get 4 branded emails.
Okay, right. But one article.
They can per article, but they can access as many articles, and you'd love them to access 10 a day, make $1 a day on that individual.
By meaning that they're going to have to get more emails to get more
Exactly.
articles.
They'll just get, they'll get 40 emails.
Okay, again, now, Matt is asking good questions. Matt, thanks for participating. You're not giving the first party data back to the publisher at all. Am I correct? That's what Matt's kind of getting. If someone hits, okay.
And we're not giving it to the brands either.
All right, you're keeping it.
Forward all the offers. And it's not that we're keeping it private because that's what consumers demand.
Oh, I get it. So you want to show them this is ultra privacy because Elisa's asking the same question. So at the end of the day, you own the data, not the publisher. That's the one thing that's clear in this model, correct?
Yeah. And at the end of the day, what's most important is that, and I think why we get such a high conversion rate, is this third bullet point on our modal says we never will sell your data. That's critically important to a consumer in 2025. We found out it was critically important since 2010.
All right, more questions, please. We haven't lost one. You're doing a good job. We haven't lost one of our participants since the beginning of this webinar. So Wade, either I'm the entertaining one or you are, but they're still engaged. Lisa, thank you for that. I have one more question beyond. How should I put this? How do you stay compliant? I mean, you got all this data. Are you really being compliant with all privacy standards at your company? I just have to ask that. I hope you're not offended, sir.
We have to. And what we understood about this market is that reselling data cannibalizes the opportunity of integrating a consumer with a publication. Cannibalizing that data by reselling it. And people notice if I sign up for something and I start getting all these widgets in my email box and all these different things that I didn't sign up for, I know that that particular group sold my email. And by virtue of that trust, we lock that down because the more we stay, holding to that rule, the better it is for us, the better it is for each and every publication, the better it is for each and every brand that we work with.
All right, Wade, I'm going to have to ask you the $1 million question now. What is the biggest surprise you've seen in trying to launch this puppy across the industry? I mean, you worked hard at developing the model. To you, it must have seemed like a no-brainer. Not everybody on this is going to feel that way, but what is the biggest surprise you've seen approaching the news publishing industry with this solution, sir?
I think the biggest surprise has been that there are a considerable number of publications that don't have the data of how many people they're turning away. And we spoke to a very large group, a group that was mentioned earlier. And they said to us, if you go through every quarterly report we've ever done, we only talk about how to shave another nickel off a subscriber. We have never, ever looked at all the people we've been turning away. That's huge.
We're getting near the end of our journey. We're gonna have to wrap it up here. Okay, well, here's a good one. I'm trying to keep my eyes on all screens. Please forgive me if I don't get to your questions. But of course, there's Wade's email address, wade@mifpartners.com. I have put into the chat room and the actual URL, mifpartners.com. I urge you to reach out to Wade today with more questions, but can you speak more about what happens if Make It Free readers shares an article viewed with friends? If they share the article with a friend, that friend is going to have to see the emails as well, and I make more money. Am I hearing this straight, Wade? Just review the model for me one more time, if you don't mind.
So if I look at an article and I use Make It Free to look at that article, I enjoy the article, I flip it to a friend, he opens it, he clicks Make It Free, you're earning another 10 cents, but you're earning another person's trust that's reading your article and engaging with your paper. And that's what this is all about. This isn't, a cure for cancer. This is reorganizing how the approach with consumers, because the approach that's been in place now for nearly 2 decades isn't working any longer. This reorganizes it so that a consumer gets what they want up front at the price point they want it at, which is zero. And the publisher gets paid every single time that occurs. They just don't get paid by the consumer. And that's the beauty of it, the reorganization of this paywall model.
If you attend a conference in the days to come, you're going to see Wade and his team walking around because you've been very active lately. It is a brand new model that we at EMP we think you should take a look at this. And Wade, you're still garnering in you got some in the pipeline right now to get this thing cooking across a wide variety. Do you want to share with us who's coming on board, or are you still in that setting up stage?
Yeah, we don't have referenceable publishers, but I can tell you the number of publications has grown from 3 in January to approximately 171 today. Wow. It is growing rapidly because people are understanding, wow, if I do my consumer a solid, I make money, and I build trust with the consumer to make even more money, that's a no-brainer.
Well, Wade, we wish you well on this journey at EMP. We thank you for your support of our mission to support the news publishing industry. And more importantly, we're going to be staying on top of you, publishing your successes as you bring in more and more partners. Your email address again is wade@mifpartners.com. I met Kevin at the conference too. I think he's attending in the background there, but Kevin can also be talked to, correct? He's Kevin@mifpartners.com. This is on your screen, correct?
Yes, and Kevin's on the East Coast, and I'm on the West Coast.
All right, we appreciate your support. We appreciate you sharing this data. Those that have registered for this webinar are going to get a link to it later today, and you can share that recording around your company. Wade, thanks again. We really appreciate you here at EMP.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you, Jesse. Thank everyone for attending. We appreciate being able to be a solution in your industry. Thank you.